Okay, that was fun. So I just did my second Jersey Mike's delivery, and I'm not quite sure where I left off. But I think one of the things that I want to say as a dasher, and again, if you have any questions, let me know. Once you've dashed, you kind of get your questions. When I went to Jersey Mike's the second time, I was offered a free sub because somebody did not take the sub. And he said that because I'm a nice dasher that he offered that to me. Wasn't that very nice? And it's funny, I've had people compliment me on being nice for being a dasher. So sometimes I guess dashers aren't very nice to the restaurants that they're picking food up from. And I would recommend not doing that. It isn't their fault for whatever may be happening. Sometimes you may go and the restaurant may be closed. Sometimes they may not have gotten the order. Sometimes they're just too busy and they literally, you have a very long wait. You always have the option to unassign a job. You have the option to wait. Again, time is money, so I would unassign the job if it were me, if it's a long wait. I've even been in situations where I've picked up, like I'll have a couple jobs at one time and I'll pick up one, but there will be a long wait for the second. Then I'll just go and deliver the first and come back for the second. I'd never take it out on the restaurant. I never do. If there's any issue, I just contact Doordash. I've only had probably maybe 2 customers who have been unpleasant. Not everybody's friendly and kind, which that's always a nice thing when they are. But the unpleasant ones, I found out from the Jersey Mike's guy who just offered me a sub, that I guess you can block somebody who's unfriendly. So I'm going to check that out, because there's one woman who's just so demanding and just kind of mean and nasty. And I'm not to the people I deliver to, even when they kind of irritate me. I get irritated with people that are, especially people that are on a 3rd floor apartment complex, and they haven't, you don't know that when you take the job. You find that out after you take the job. And some are unsafe. Some are literally very unsafe. The steps are unsafe, and they don't tip very well. Those make me mad. I just wish I had known beforehand. Because if I'm going to go up 3 flights of stairs, and sometimes not very safe stairs, and you give me not a very nice tip, I really wish I hadn't taken the job. I'm 65, I've got arthritis, I've got a bad left foot, I've got a bad back, bad hands, so it isn't something that I appreciate, going up to a 3rd floor. And I regret it when I get those. I really regret it. If I got tipped really well, I'll at least appreciate that, but generally, you're not getting tipped all that great. I live in Michigan, where it's very cold right now. People don't seem to understand that we're getting paid by our tips. Believe me, DoorDash is not paying us but a couple bucks per ride. So when we go and pick your food up, it's the wear and tear on us, our vehicle, and our bodies, because we're going in and getting your food and we're bringing it to you. So they don't seem to understand that. It's kind of like if you were to go to a restaurant, those waitresses aren't getting money from the restaurant. They're making their money from the tips. And I always tip very nicely, especially for a good waitress. I tip very accordingly, because I know that's how they're making their money. And if they've been really, really good to me, although they'll look at me and probably think, probably won't get that good of a tip. If you've really given me good service and you think you're not going to get that good of a tip, you're going to get a good tip. I find too with tips that people in the richer houses, my experience, not all of them, my experience with a lot of them, they tip bad. And that actually makes me angry, because I'm like, if you live in a rich ass house, you can afford a nice tip, and yet these other people who live in maybe a really run-down house or a small house have it tip me really nicely. It just really ticks me off. I just kind of go back to the fact that, the Lord is with some of us, and we speak louder for him. And people that are really cheap like that, I don't think are speaking very well for the Lord. But that's kind of a thing with me for tips. So, but my next video, I'm going to talk about how I've learned to work smarter and not harder. I don't want to put too much stuff together. So I guess I'll call this one tips. I don't know. I haven't really organized it. All right. Bye-bye.